In part number 1 of this series about PDC Bit nomenclature, I explained the general rules of PDC nomenclature and showed that the general rules for PDC bit nomenclatures is following a coded system consists of 3 sections. The first section is of some letters identifying the product line and application capability and some face features, followed by the second part, which consists of some numbers related to the blade counts and the cutter size, followed by another part consisted of letters which represent the additional features which may be face features or hydraulic related features or gauge features. Also, in the previous part, I gave an example following Smith method for PDC nomenclature and explained in details by pictures what is the meaning of each letter and number in their nomenclatures. I mentioned also that there are some differences in the details for the meaning of these letters and numbers between the different surface companies. Altair and Varel are very close to Smith for PDC nomenclatures. They keep the first letters for the bit type. The 3 numbers following, they keep the first number for the blade count, and the 2 digits following for the cutter size directly in millimeters, and the letters in the suffix part for the additional features. This table summarizes the details of each letter and number which are used by Varel to describe their product. For this example of Varel bits, it's a very simple bit, belongs to Voyer product line with steel body, have 5 blades and 19 millimeter cutter. We can notice here that there is a switch between the 2 first letters. For Smith, they should have S in the beginning, followed by V, but for Varel, they use this combination. For this example, the bit belongs to Raider product line, and there is no second letter, which means that the body is matrix, because the default is matrix. When it made of steel, they mention S. Also, we notice that there are 2 letters in the suffix section. The P mean a backup row of cutters, and X mean chuck studs. This example, which compare between 2 bits, one for Varel and the other for Smith, clearly shows the importance of getting familiar with the system followed by every specific company. Although those 2 bits have the same letters, but the meaning of each letter is different than the other. For example, R for Varel is for Raider product line, while R for Smith is for the Onyx 360 revolving cutters. Varel mention S only when the body is made of steel, while Smith put the first letter M to indicate that this bit is made of matrix. S for Smith is for the Shark product line, which have backup row cutters. For Varel, The P letter at the suffix part indicate the backup row. X for varil mean Chuck Studs answers, while the PX for Smith means that the gauge are enhanced with TSB protection. Coming to NOV or read BDC, the most characteristic deviation from the previous skeleton is the coding for the cutter size mentioned in the second number. The second number is a code 1369. Each of them indicate the corresponding size in millimeter. 1 for 11, 3 for 13, 6 for 16, 9 for 19. And to make it easy to be remembered, you can just put 1 in the 10th position to get the cutter size in millimeter directly. As you see, if the code is 1 and we added 1 in the 10th position, it will be 11 millimeter cutter. 3, when we put 1 in the 10th position, it will be 13 millimeter cutters, and so on for 6 and 9. For Halliburton, the first two letters for the family class. The third letter for the application compatibility, D when it is compatible with direction application, G for the Halliburton RSS GeoPilot, T for turbine application. The first number, as the previous companies, is reserved for the number of blades. Here, the second number is a code for the cutter size, and it is very important to have a record which you can refer to know exactly what the cutter size. The first letter of the suffix part is reserved for the optional characteristics like the backup rows or the impact arrestors studs. The indication whether this bit body is made of matrix or steel is coming at the last position as S when it is made of steel. For more additional features which are mentioned in the table to the right hand side, it comes after the steel bodied indication. Here we come to the Baker system. The most important difference between the Baker system and the other company is the switching the position of the cutter size and blade. The cutter size code comes first, while the blade count comes next. Also, the cutter size code is not easy to be remembered. It should be referred to a document to know precisely what the cutter size is. In this part, we come through the other surface companies or the different surface companies, how they give their product a name and what's the difference between each of them. And we saw the importance of getting familiar with the system followed by each company to understand what is the meaning of their codes. In the next part, I'll go through the additional features in details, what they are, how they look, and what's the importance of each of them. Coming to the end of this part of PDC Bit's nomenclatures, I hope that I succeeded to explain the general lines for PDC Bit's nomenclatures, which are followed by most of the service companies. Also, I hope that the imaginary example following the Smith nomenclatures improved our understanding of PDC Bit's coding.